Greetings, everybody, and welcome to this, the latest of my videos. My name's Uncle Traveling Matt, or at least that's my YouTube name. My real name is Matt, so not that original. But as you can see today, I am not alone, which is maybe a first for me, I think. And I have a friend with me. I say a friend, not really. It's a stranger. It's the first time we've ever met. And her
That's
name
right.
is Mary Michelle.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is stop talking and let Mary tell you who she is, how we met, and maybe what we're going to do today. Mary, Michelle, over to you.
Okay, thanks so much, Matt. So yeah, as Matt said, my name's Mary Michelle, although I'll answer to Mary as well. That's fine. And I met Matt, well, as Matt said, we've only met digitally so far. This is in fact our very first conversation, so that's pretty wonderful. We've spoken by message on Facebook, on a page which is for the St. Francis Way in Italy, which I've been following for some time. And I noticed Matt's posts because he was on the way. He was walking and he was posting daily. So I followed that a bit. And he also shared an article that we'll talk about, if not today, at some point in one of these conversations, because it really went straight to my heart. So from there, I responded publicly to Matt and said, great article, thanks so much. And then we just kind of went over to messaging back. And he said, thank you. And who are you? And shall we talk? And so we started talking a little bit, but literally this has just happened. So it's very exciting. I'm absolutely thrilled to meet Matt. And I just want to say, I have not actually walked a pilgrimage yet. It's something that I've been planning for a very long time, but you'll learn more about the wheres and wherefores of my story. And so I'm delighted to be here and to connect with Matt, who's actually very experienced and has a lot of pilgrimages under his belt that he will have an opportunity to tell you about. So in a nutshell, we've just connected by chance, if there really is any such thing, which I actually don't think so. And here we are having a conversation, which hopefully you will enjoy, and we will get to have more of them as time
Yeah.
goes by.
And
Thanks so much, Matt.
yeah, so we're going to call these conversations Pilgrims on the Digital Way, because the idea is that when you walk a Camino or any other pilgrimage, you meet strangers on the way and you strike up a conversation, which is a really beautiful thing. And anybody who's done anything that will know what I'm on about. But I believe that we do live in a different era, and we can meet people on the digital path rather than the gravel one, and that's what we're doing now. Now, I do hope that Mary actually ends up walking the gravel path as well. But in the meantime, this is going to suffice, and so that's that. We want to do a series of these. They're going to be about 10 minutes long. And what we're going to do each time is address a particular question that's on our minds. And we're going to, mull over it, have a little bit of chat, just as we might do if we were walking on the gravel path.
Mhm.
The questions, it's going to be a bit different today because it's the first one. So we've actually have two questions that we want to tackle today. And so because we've had all these intros, it might be a little bit longer. But yeah, we're normally looking for 10 minutes. So that's that. Well, it is nice to meet you, Mary. Mary's a little bit kinder. I'm not that experienced with pilgrimages. I did my first one in 2007. Well, no, 2008. I went to Lindisfarne and I did quite a few around the British Isles. But then from 2018 to 21, I think it was. I walked the Camino de Santiago. Didn't do it in one go because I couldn't get the time off work, so I did it in chunks. And as Mary Michelle said, I'm now walking the way of St. Francis of Assisi. So compared to a lot of Camino people, I am very inexperienced. There are people who do it every year and have done for decades. But you know
Yeah.
what? I've done a bit. And so there we are. Anyway, enough of that.
Yes,
Mary,
Matt,
what's your question?
I have some questions
Go
for
on
you.
then.
This is Matt's wonderful idea for these conversations, is to have a little bit of a question and answer thing going for as a newbie, what we would call a newbie, a completely new person talking to someone with a little more experience, and both of us somehow bringing value to that conversation. So I absolutely love that idea. So here's my first question, Matt. There's a part A and a part B. So we're going to start with the absolute fundamentals. Why do you think people go on a pilgrimage? And you can answer that sort of the broad strokes, because there are some definitely, and also on a more individual way. Why did you go on your first pilgrimage? But let's say, why do you think people go on pilgrimages? Do you have any thoughts to share with us about that?
Okay, I do. And I'm going to start with talking about my own journey. And then that may explain the others. I mean, because the problem with the wider thing is people may have so many reasons that we could cover them in a week. But for me personally, as I said, my first pilgrimage was in 2008, and I went to Lindisfarne, which is the ruins of a monastery. It's on a little islet up in the north of England. And the reason I went is I was quite intensely spiritual, I think, at the time. But also life was a bit difficult at the time. Didn't have a lot of money. I was married, and we were expecting a baby, I think, then, or maybe just before we wanted a kid. And my wife, she's now my ex, but we're still very good friends. She'd actually gone away. She wasn't born in the UK, so she'd gone home to visit family. And I had a bit of time, and I wanted to reflect. I wanted time out of life to reflect. And I'd heard about Christian retreats. So I should say that I do have a faith. I'm a member of the Church of England. So I'd heard about these retreats, and I thought I'd love to do that. But as I say, I wasn't very rich at the time, and they all cost money. And money, I didn't have a lot of money, and they were all about like 40 quid a night, which, what's that in, I don't know, US dollars, maybe 50 or 60, but it's certainly about 45, 50 euros.
Yeah, and up. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was then. I mean, that's, we're talking 15 years ago or so. And I just didn't have that. So what I thought, well, okay, I can't do that. What I'll do instead is I'll get in the car and I'll go up to Lindisfarne, because people said it's nice. I do like travel. I've been a passionate traveler for many years. And then I'll go up there, and I'll have this kind of religious journey. So that was my motivation for doing it. There was this need to reflect, a need for time out of normal life, and a need for some kind of spiritual character to it. And I think that's important, because all of those things, time out of reality, I would say, I use the phrase, to remind yourself of the alien, to remind yourself that all of reality is not your reality. But you can do that in normal tourism. I could get on a plane and go to Berlin and remind myself that it's different than where I live, and that the people in my life don't really have any consequence in Berlin, because they're all focused on my very small life. But it's not spiritual. It's a holiday, and that's why we have holidays. And I do think there's a difference between a pilgrimage and a holiday. And that's something I will probably return to later. And on that initial journey, and I mean, I didn't walk it. I went in the car. It was nothing like, a lot of people say it's not a proper pilgrimage because I didn't, hike however long. But it was a journey with a purpose, and that wasn't tourism. Although, as always, there's always a bit of tourism mixed in, and I think any pilgrim will get that. But it felt special, and it felt completely unlike any other journey I've been before. And I think I always say that was my first pilgrimage, and it was. And I want to make this final point before I hand it over, is that it was my first pilgrimage. But I've been to lots of religious sites before. I've been to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem, but I'd gone as a tourist. I'd gone to say, like, oh, yeah, let's take a photo of this, and oh, yeah, tick this off the list. And I'd had a great time. I'd loved it. But it hadn't been a spiritual journey. And so you can go to the same place as a tourist and a pilgrim, and they're different experiences.
Wow. This is a very interesting reflection. Thank you so much, Matt. And I think you gave us exactly what I would probably expect to hear very succinctly, which was, you said, time to reflect and
I guess time out of normal life.
Taking yourself out of the world and out of your daily routine. And as you pointed out, that's something that we, of course, we do, not the reflecting part, but the dropping our daily routine when we go on a vacation. So I think the key here that you've talked about and what separates it from a regular holiday is time to reflect, which is not to say, and then you have to add the third element, which is that it's spiritual, because that's not to say that you can't go on a holiday where you literally, you want to unplug. You want time to read books and look at the water and watch the sunset. You know, that's very reflective, but it can also be intended as a holiday, a break, a vacation. So I think you've really hit on three things.
Yeah, and can I say
together
something else? I use the word spiritual rather than religious, because
absolutely,
you can have a religious trip that's not very spiritual or reflective, but also you can have non-religious pilgrimages. And an example of that is my day job, I should say, I work for the trade union. So I'm a bit of a socialist on the quiet. And I went to Cuba a few years ago, and I went to visit sites to do with the Cuban Revolution and like Che Guevara's grave and stuff. And I found it was very much like a pilgrimage. It was very reflective. It was to sit there and think about what happened, what lessons can we learn. But that wasn't my religion, you know, that's not my religion at all. But it did have, and you know, and I have friends who are very serious socialists, and they would go to some of those kind of sites as holy sites, you know, they go to Lenin in Red Square or something like that.
Yes, agreed. But at the same time, these are not deities, these are not saints, these are not, you know, there's a different context. It's more in a political context. I appreciate the remark, and you're absolutely right, of course. So Matt, I actually really enjoyed your answer, and I kind of feel like I think we're ready to just wrap this up and put this out there and invite people to comment and share their own experiences and feelings. I loved everything that you said. I've learned things from you, and I would really like us to set up the next opportunity for a conversation like this. And hopefully people are going to comment and we can pick that up as well next time we get together. What do you think?
That's fine. Okay, well, thank you very much. And let's do
thank you too. It's been such a pleasure, Matt. And thank you so much. I'm super happy that we got to do this and talk to each other. And I'll see you next time. What do we say? You have a saying for?
Well, my saying is keep traveling. So
keep traveling. Isn't there another part to that? Keep traveling.
Well, keep traveling is my Uncle Traveling Matt saying, but I would say stay on the path.
Stay on the path. That was it. I love that. Thanks, Matt. Till next time, everyone. Bye for now.